stood for us in battle. We bowed for you in prayer, hoping that you'd feel our love and know how much we cared. We'll say it aloud that we're so proud of you in every way, and how we thank the Lord we're together on this day. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Welcome home to those who love you, to the place where you belong. As you fought the fight for freedom, you were not alone. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Thank you for your courage as you faced the enemy. You sacrificed and gladly paid the price for liberty. You'll always be our hero, for you have done your best. You know you must be weary, and you have earned your rest. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Welcome home to those who love you, to the place where you belong. As you fought the fight for freedom, you were not alone. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Soldiers of a mighty cause, we're marching on our way to the place where by His grace we will hear Him say, welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Welcome home to those who love you, to the place where you belong. As you fought the fight for freedom, you were not alone. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home. Welcome home, faithful soldier, welcome home.
Oh, maybe. I think we're supposed to go over here.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Pride Park in Taylorville, Kentucky. We are privileged today to have our special guest with us, the floor majority leader for the Kentucky State Senate, David Thayer. And this is a dedication ceremony today where we're here to honor the Kenton County residents who gave their life in Vietnam on our behalf. We also are here to pay respect and honor to the 58,000 men and women who across the nation who gave their all during this conflict. They were either killed or missing in action. And to those 23,214 who returned home disabled, suffering from various injuries with both mental and physical, we must never forget the sacrifice made by all of these veterans, whether at war or at peace and time. I know there's a lot of veterans here today, and if you are a veteran, I'd like for you to please raise your hand and be recognized. All right, thank you very much for your service, all of you. Special thanks to the spouses of our military as well, veterans for their sacrifice. Our country needs to realize that freedom didn't just happen. Politicians and government did not win it or ensure it, the freedoms we have today. So we have to recognize the men and women who secured that freedom for us. It is the men and women who served in our military who really make it happen. So thank you for that. God bless all of you veterans and your spouses, and God bless America. And now we will have the Northern Kentucky Young Marines with the presentation of the colors.
Good morning. I'm Jill Bailey, the City Administrator with the City of Taylor Mill. Thank you so much for coming today to be part of today's ceremony and events. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to remain standing and join me in welcoming the Erlanger Christian Church Choir, who will perform the national anthem.
Oh, sing and you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you so much. What a beautiful delivery of that song. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome our local Girl Scout pack who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, girls. You did a fantastic job. This morning, the invocation will be said by Chaplain Tim Ellis of the U.S. Marine Riders.
Good morning, and thank you for coming. Please join me in a prayer of invocation. Almighty God, we thank you for the blessing of this day and the freedom to assemble here to remember, honor, and thank our Vietnam veterans at this dedication ceremony today. We thank you, God, for all the brave men and women of our nation's military past, present, and future, that protect and make this freedom possible, many of which have given their very lives as a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Many of these warriors have their names eternally etched into these sacred walls that we are privileged to view here today. God, help us to teach our children, our grandchildren, that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be protected and fought for. God, we thank you for the many dedicated individuals, organizations that freely gave of their time, talent, and treasure to make the dream of this moving wall dedication a reality. God, we pray that you will continue to grant favor to this great nation that we are blessed to call home. And I ask you to protect and strengthen our military brothers and sisters who, like so many before, stand in harm's way ready to defend her against any aggressor, foreign or domestic. We pray that you bring them safely home and give hope and comfort to their family and friends that are committed to their support and anxiously await their return. Dear God, as we stand united upon this hallowed ground today to honor our heroes, let us also remember our POWs and MIAs that have yet to return home free and whose whereabouts are still unknown. They are never forgotten. And all the people said, Amen and hoorah.
Thank you, Chaplain Ellis. You may be seated, please. As you may be aware, when Vietnam veterans returned home from service, they were not given the hero's welcome they so deserved. Today, we wish to correct this. We wish to recognize you for your service to our country by expressing our appreciation and gratitude. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our Vietnam veterans and their loved ones. We proudly acknowledge you and welcome you home. Thank you so much for your service. Unfortunately and tragically, so many lives were lost during the Vietnam War. Today we honor each and every single one of them. But we also would like to take a moment and pay a special tribute to those individuals who served from Kenton County. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to introduce to you Lieutenant Colonel Richard J. Lovelace of the United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Lovelace is the brother of Taylor Mill fallen Vietnam hero Corporal Robert Kenneth Lovelace, and will be joining us to recite a list of the Kenton County fallen heroes whose names are on the wall.
Aker Jeffrey Scott, H.N. Covington. Ante James Lewis, First Lieutenant Covington. Bob John Franklin, P.O.1 Erlanger. Boone Danny Lee, SP4 Ludlow. Brewer Jr. William Jackson, First Lieutenant Erlanger. Boucher John Francis, Sergeant Covington. Dunford III, Frank Bellow, SSG Covington. Dwyer Michael Allen, Corporal Covington. Elridge William Franklin, PFC Covington. Flamer Timothy Matthew, SP4 Ellesmere. Gallagher William Joseph, PFC Covington. Gillian Donatus Joseph, Corporal Covington. Hall Gary Lee, PFC Covington. Hammonds Philip, PFC Covington. Heisel Gary Lee, Corporal Covington. Hurry Samuel Green, SP4 Covington. Litton Gary Wayne, PFC Fort Mitchell. Los Chavevo Thomas Lee, Lance Corporal Covington. Lovelace Robert Kenneth, Corporal Taylor Mill. Marshall Junior Samuel Thomas, Lance Corporal, Covington. McCullum Ronald Lee, SSG, Covington. McKinney Raymond Bruce, PFC, Covington. McNay Jr., Guy Ekman, SP4, Erlanger. Miley Joseph Wayne, Sergeant, Covington. Morehouse Michael Joseph, Sergeant, Covington. Mueller Carl William, SP4, Covington. Newberry Clifford Lee, PFC, Crescent Springs. Newater Ronald Leo, Sergeant, Ludlow. O'Brien Alden Walton, LTC, Covington. Pierce James Everett, SN, Covington. Randall Lewis R., PFC, Covington. Rayschulte Thomas Howard, Lance Corporal, Covington. Sally Hank, PFC, Covington. Schoborg Gary Allen, Sergeant, Covington. Sharp Alan Morris, PFC, Covington. Soward Lewis Ray, SP4, Covington. Stratton Jr. Everett, Lance Corporal, Ludlow. Tanner Stephen Dale, PFC, Bromley. Taudenbayer James Lewis, Sergeant, Covington. Wegman Nicholas Owen, Corporal, Ludlow. Wortman Chester James, PFC, Fort Marshall. Webb Paul Henley, Lance Corporal, Ellesmere. Weiss Roderick Lee, PSC, Erlanger. Welch Randall Elbert, Sergeant, Covington. Will Holt Jr., Howard Ray, PFC, Ludlow. Zip Marion Lewis, SP4, Ellesmere.
Thank you so much. We are so sorry for your loss, and thank you for your service. Please give this gentleman a round of applause. If everyone could please rise. The remembrance wreath will now be placed by the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, Rebecca Boone, chapter of Kenton County. Thank you, ladies. Our keynote speaker today is Harold B. Dethridge, who also is known respectfully and simply as HB. Served in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. He grew up in Boone County, Kentucky, graduated from Boone County High School in 1963, and from Eastern Kentucky University in 1967. HB proudly represents his high school alma mater and serves as the public address announcer for Boone County High School and Thomas More College sports. At a time when it seemed veterans had been forgotten, HB became the visionary, designer, and coordinator of the Boone County Veterans Memorial that honors all Boone Countians who served and identifies all of those who died in World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, and the Vietnam War. The The memorial was dedicated in 1998 and expanded in 2009 to include a monument to honor those who served and died in the War on Terror. In 2011, it was expanded again to include a prisoner of war missing in action monument. HB has personally been responsible for coordinating programs each Memorial and Veterans Day since the memorial's inception in 1998. HB was also the driving force in bringing the Vietnam Veterans Moving Wall to the city of Florence, Kentucky in 2006 and again in 2010, and bringing it to Kenton County in 2007. Pageantry is always involved in his programs. HB has been inducted into the Northern Kentucky Athletic Directors Hall of Fame and the Eastern Kentucky University Hall of Fame, was an official torchbearer for the Salt Lake City Olympics in 2002, was the Grand Marshal for the City of Florence Labor Day Parade twice, and has received Kentucky Senate and House citations for his community service. He holds the Paul Harris Fellow Award from Rotary International, was named Citizen of the Year by the Florence Rotary Club and the Boone County Businessmen's Association, and instrumental in bringing minor league baseball to the city of Florence. Such an amazing list of accomplishments. In spite of serious health issues from his military service in Vietnam, HB works tirelessly to improve his community and see that veterans are never forgotten. That same spirit has guided his efforts to establish the Kentucky Veterans Hall and Fame Foundation. HB also was a huge part of helping us make plans for the Moving Walls visit to Taylor Mill and Pride Park. Please join me in welcoming Vietnam veteran HB Dethridge.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. After listening to all that, it makes me really tired. It's a good thing I'm old. But it's a pleasure to be here, and I got to thank so many people on this project. It worked out so well and so beautiful. I want to thank the mayor, Dan Bell, for his approval to do it. I want to thank the city administrator, Jill Bailey, also. Both of y'all, thank you very much for opening up and letting this take place. Your generosity is just overwhelming on the thing. So many people to thank for what you see and the experience you're going to get this weekend. When Gina called me and asked advice on how to put this experience together, Scott Gunning from Kenton County, and I met with her and Mark in the city building right up the road here. And as I looked at both of them in their eyes, I could see a sense of huge mountain decline and a bit of fear and doubt that they could do it. But they were determined, so we laid it out, always keeping in mind that the wall was the star of the show and everything else was just icing on the cake. Mac Productions, sitting in the back, Jason back there is running the sound for us today, so if things go rogue, go see him if it don't work right. The entire Northern Kentucky community was responsible for what you see behind us here. I know we had help from Crescent Springs. I know we had help from the city of Florence. I know Edgewood was involved. I know all the other communities involved. A lot of communities in Northern, not just Taylor Mill. Taylor Mill opened up their hearts and pocketbooks to make it happen. But every community in Northern Kentucky helped on this project. The stage came from one place, flags from another, blacktop, so it went on and on. The Vietnam Moving Wall, which stands in this pristine setting behind me, Taylor Mill, thank you very, very much for letting us take place. Thank you very, very much. The wall does not... Moving wall does not come around that often, and it's like every 4 or 5 years it might come around. I was involved with the wall when it's down at the Crestview Hills Mall way back when. We were in Carrollton with it way back when also, and Boone County and Florence twice, and Kenton County down at Pioneer Park. But the vision of what took place here was not mine, even though the vision is a terrific, great vision. The vision was the efforts of two people, and I'm going to ask them to come up here. The events coordinator, Gina Forsythe, where are you at? Come up here. Come here. Y'all, if y'all don't know Gina, she's a wildcat. Once she gets into something, she goes after it. The other one I want you to meet is maintenance director Mark Roden. Is Mark, where's Mark? Mark here somewhere? Come on up here, Mark. I want you, come on up here. These two people, Gina worked tirelessly to make this happen. Mark and his team is responsible for everything you see. If you're from Taylor Mill or ever been to Pride Park, this was an open field. There's nothing here. What you see has been transformed. and we've been working on this. Well, I got involved maybe 3 months ago, but they had to put this thing together in like 2 weeks. The wall came in Thursday, was it? And so it had to be ready to go. And there's more to it than just that wall laying out there. Tracks had to be put in, a lot of paneling, a lot of blacktop, a lot of drainage. Flagpoles had to be put in. None of this was here, a month ago. So these people worked tirelessly to make this happen. Mark and his team went over and above to make it happen. They have a city to take care of also, but they dedicated all their time, thanks to these folks, to let this happen for you and for us and for all the veterans. It's with it. Gina kept asking, well, how do we do this and how do we do that? And all I had to do is just give her a lead, and she took off. She took off and she went everywhere, begging, borrowing, stealing, whatever she could do to make this happen, believe me. Well, maybe not stealing, but she did a lot of begging. She did a lot of begging on it. But I just want you guys to know, these people right here, they're responsible. These people here, they gave them the okay and the free gun to do it, and we thank these people very much. Once again. And now, over on this right-hand side, I have posted a Vietnam flag. It's not to honor Vietnam. What is on there, it shows Vietnam, and it shows all of our military units where they were deployed in Vietnam. As you get out here and you start walking down, take time to look at that and see where you were deployed in Vietnam, or show your family, show your wives, show your children, whatever, where you are in Vietnam. That's the map of Vietnam, and it shows where the military units were stationed in Vietnam. Now, Jill introduced me as a Vietnam veteran. I'm just happy to be here. Yeah, I served in Vietnam with the 39th Engineer Battalion in July. But more than a Vietnam veteran, I'm a Vietnam survivor. And I continue to serve the greatest country, the greatest nation in the universe, the United States of America. And I will continue doing it until I can't. I'm getting ready to play a song, which is normally sung. I usually have a sidekick when I do this, but my sidekick couldn't make it today. Matter of fact, he's standing here. Gary Greiser, if you all know Gary Greiser. This is Gary Greiser's song. Way back when we started doing our veterans programs, I asked Gary to learn the song. He did, and a couple other songs. But I'm going to play this on CD, and Gary can hum along with it unless you want to come through and sing it. It's up to you. But Gary's standing back. He is usually the singer goes with us when we go wherever we go. So, Jason, go ahead and play. What I want you to do, all the veterans and families, when you hear your branch played, the melody played, come on out to the blacktop. We got something for you out there. Go ahead, Jason. Go ahead and start. service. Hang on to those flags. They're going to be important here in another few minutes. Go ahead and have a seat back, if you would. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome home to all of our veterans and all the families. Thank you very much for still loving the veterans. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of facts about the wall. There's thousands and thousands of facts on, depending on which website you want to go to. I'm going to hit on just a few, just to show you the importance of this wall. Do you know out of Vietnam, all the soldiers that went to Vietnam, 1 out of 10 died? When you went to Vietnam, there was chances of you not coming back at all, and that was the way it was at the time. A few facts for you to have. 5 men killed in Vietnam were only 16 years old. 16. 11,465 were less than 20 years old. 7,484 American women served in Vietnam. The oldest man killed in Vietnam was 62 years old. 8 nurses died, 1 killed in action in Vietnam. The average age of those killed in Vietnam was 23 years old. So young to fight for our freedom. And a lot of things these people stood for, we don't like. And one of them is orange barrels. But if it wasn't for the veterans and the wall, we wouldn't have the freedom to even have those orange barrels or meat like this. There's so much goes into a veteran. The number of North Vietnamese killed compared to our 58,303, 600,000. 600,000 North Vietnamese. We have missing in action still 2,338, and married men killed in Vietnam, 17,539. Sad statistics. I don't like them at all, but that's war. And that war was totally different than 1, 2, Korea. Totally different war. It's totally different than the wars we're fighting now. That war, there was a lot of gloves off. We were not liked at all in Vietnam. When you went to Vietnam, you already knew you didn't want to be there, but you were there. And as soon as you got off that plane, as Jeff said last night, David said last night, things in your life changed. As soon as that plane landed, everything changed. You opened that door, the heat, the smell, the noise was terrible. Then you had to come back home, totally different scenario. While in Vietnam, I did probably all the same duties you as a Vietnam veteran did. I did search and destroy missions in rice paddies where there's supposed to only be rice. Too many times, there wasn't just rice in those rice fields. And you go through the rice fields with the rice and the water up to your shoulders, and you had to hold your weapon above, and the enemy was below. It was tough. We also protected LZs and landing zones from Charlie. A lot of you people know this. You Vietnam veterans, you know this. You did it too. I'm no different. We had to burn our own waste. We didn't have a bathroom to go to. We had to burn our own waste. But when I hear what you're getting ready to hear, this song coming up, when I heard this noise overhead, I knew help was near. And I know when you're going to hear this, some of you veterans, there could be some little PTSD kick in, and that's okay. But I know you know what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Jason.
Anybody here today who doesn't thrill to the sound of those blades. That familiar whop, whop, whop is the soundtrack of our war, the lullaby of our younger days. To someone who spent his time in Nam with the grunts, I've got to tell you that noise was always a great comfort. It meant someone was coming to help. Someone was coming to get our wounded. Someone was coming to bring us water and ammo. Someone was coming to take our dead brothers home. And eventually, someone was coming to give us a ride out of hell. Even today, when I hear it, I stop, catch my breath, and think back to those days. I love you guys as only an infantryman can. No matter how bad things were, if we called, you came. Down through the green tracers and other visible signs of a real bad day, off to a real bad start. To us, you seemed beyond brave and fearless, that you would come to us in the middle of battle in those flimsy, thin-skinned crates, and in the storm of fire, you would sit up there behind that thin plexiglass, seeming so patient and so calm and so vulnerable, waiting for the offloading and the onloading. We thought you were God's own lunatics, and we loved you, still do. We're the fortunate ones. We survived when so many better men gave up their precious lives for us. We owe them a sacred debt to live each day to its fullest. What they're saying when you listen hard enough is this: we're at peace, and so should you be, and so should you be.
The Vietnam veterans, and probably even 2 and 1 in the other wars, they know what that means. Last night, there's a helicopter landed up here last night at the ceremony. Landed at 5 o'clock. When I heard it coming, flashback. And it wasn't even for me, it's for everybody. It's for everybody to enjoy. Those helicopters, they meant everything to us in the bush, when we was in the bush. That was the only way out. And then we didn't go out too far. Helicopters can't bring you home. But it got you out of that firefight where you was at that time. It got you off that LZ. It got you out of that rice paddy. But it only came when it was called and when it was needed. There's no free rides in Vietnam. And most of you Vietnam veterans, you know, you can relate with what I'm talking about. Gratitude and thankful. That's what we all should be to our veterans. Thank them. Be grateful that they've done what they've done. The ones that came back home, the ones still serving. Also, be very grateful and thankful for them. The Vietnam veterans are battered, beaten, scarred. I am a Vietnam survivor, not a veteran. Only 2 defining forces I've ever offered to die for you: Jesus Christ and the American GI. One died for your soul. The other died for your freedom. Only 2.
You did a fantastic job. Very moving. We appreciate you. Please give HB another round of applause. At this time, I would like to welcome Mr. Keith Maupin, President of the Yellow Ribbon Support Center for the Prisoner of War Missing in Action Remembrance Ceremony.
She told me if I didn't come read this, she's going to break both legs and a finger. Oh, no, that was Gina that said that. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's an honor to be here today, and it's kind of weird when you, I don't know how you'd call it, but you got a dog in a fight. It gives it new meaning. But I'll read. This table is back here. It says, those who have served and those serving the uniformed service of the United States are mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace always has been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are no others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and internment. Please pause with me to remember our prisoner of war and mission in action. We call your attention to this table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor near the head table. It is set for 1, symbolizing the fact that our armed forces personnel are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as prisoner of war and MIAs. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families, so we join together to pay our humble tribute to them and to bear witness to their continued absence. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they have shed and sacrificed to endure freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of our missing comrades, families, and friends who keep the faith while awaiting their return. The red ribbon on the vase represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us tonight. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families that they await. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. The flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid a supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that touching tribute. Please join me in welcoming back to the stage the Erlanger Christian Church Choir, who will now perform America the Beautiful. Please welcome City of Taylor Mill Mayor Daniel L. Bell.
Thank you very much, Jill. And on behalf of the City Commission of Taylor Mill, Ed Keaty, Roger Reese, Debbie Kreinborg, and Dan Murray, and all of our staff, and the 180 volunteers to make this day possible, the City of Taylor Mill salutes this event with the following proclamation. I want to already apologize for the number of whereases I will state in this proclamation. So whereas the Vietnam Moving Wall stands as a reminder of the great sacrifices made during the Vietnam War, which started in November 1st, 1955 and ended April 30th, 1975. Whereas the Vietnam Wall was conceived for the purpose of helping heal and rekindle friendships, and to allow individuals the opportunity to visit loved ones in their hometown who otherwise may not have been able to make the trip to the original memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas the Vietnam Moving Wall grew out of the hard work and effort of John DeWitt, Gary Haver, Nora Shear, and all the Vietnam veterans from the state of California. And whereas the Vietnam Wall contains 58,386 names of individuals who died while serving our country, including 1,300 unaccounted for prisoners of war or missing in action, 8 women, 16 military chaplains. And whereas the Vietnam Moving Wall is 253 feet long and slightly longer than 1.5 length of a memorial wall in the Washington, D.C. area. And whereas the city of Taylor Mill wishes to recognize and honor the heroism of all the Vietnam veterans. And whereas we also wish to recognize the many sacrifices made by the friends and family members of all Vietnam veterans who survived the Vietnam War and to those who did not. And whereas the citizens of Taylor Mill and the residents of the Commonwealth of Kentucky are encouraged to join us and others across the tri-state to honor the Vietnam veterans and their families who sacrificed so much for their country. Whereas the city of Taylor Mill is proud to host the Moving Wall and honoring all of our Vietnam veterans from July 28th, 2016 to August 1st of 2016 at our Pride Park located in Taylor Mill, Kentucky, and demonstrating our respect, honoring these brave men and women via a series of events, including the viewing of the wall. Therefore, I, Daniel L. Bell, Mayor of the City of Taylor Mill, do hereby proclaim July 28th through August 1st, 2016, the Vietnam Veterans Days in the City of Taylor Mill, and encourage everyone to join us in showing our appreciation to the brave men and women who responded to the call of their country with courage, selfless compassion, determination, and skill. This proclamation shall have full effect and force of law upon the passage according to the laws of the ordinances of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and under my signature on this day, the 13th day of July when I signed this, 2016. So that is our proclamation for Taylor Mill and honoring the wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take just a moment and thank everyone for coming this morning. Mayor Bell, Commissioner Keeney, Commissioner Kreinborg, Commissioner Murray, and Commissioner Reese, myself, and all of our staff are honored to host the Vietnam's Veterans Moving Wall in the city of Taylor Mill and at Pride Park. This project has been a labor of love for everyone involved, and I'd like to thank the City Commission, our Special Events Coordinator, Gina Forsyth, all of our Maintenance Department, the Taylor Mill Fire and EMS Department, the Taylor Mill Police Department, our friends in neighboring communities, our countless volunteers, and all of our event sponsors who helped make this powerful and moving experience a reality. Please join me in giving them all a round of applause for their hard work and dedication.
At first, there was no place for us to go until someone put up that black granite wall. Now, every day and night, my brothers and my sisters wait to see the many people from places afar file in front of this wall. Many stopping briefly, and many for hours, and some that even come on a regular basis. It was hard at first, not that it's gotten any easier, but it seems that many of the attitudes towards that Vietnam War that we were involved in have changed. I can only pray that the ones on the other side have learned something and more walls as this one needn't be built. Several members of my unit, and many that I did not recognize, have called me to the wall by touching my name that is engraved upon it. The tears aren't necessary, but are hard for even me to hold back. Don't feel guilty for not being with me, my brothers. This was my destiny, as it is yours to be on that side of the wall. Touch the wall, my brothers, so that we can share in the memories that we had. I have learned to put the bad memories aside and remember only the pleasant times that we had together. Tell our brothers out there to come and visit me, not to say goodbye, but to say hello and to be together again, even for a short time, and to ease that pain of loss that we all share. Today, an irresistible and loving call comes from the wall. As I approach, I can see an elderly lady, and as I get closer, I recognize her. It's Mama. As much as I have looked forward to this day, I have also regretted it because I didn't know what reaction I would have. Next to her, I suddenly see my wife and immediately think how hard it must have been for her to come out to this place. My mind floods with the pleasant memories of 30 years past. There's a young man in a military uniform standing with his arm around her. My God, it has to be my son. Look at him trying to be the man he is without a tear in his eye. I yearn to tell him how proud I am seeing him standing tall, straight and proud in his uniform. Mama comes closer and touches the wall, and I feel the soft and gentle touch I had not felt in so many years. Dad has crossed to this side of the wall, and through our touch, I try to convey to her that Dad is doing fine and is no longer suffering or feeling pain. I see my wife's courage building as she sees Mama's touch of the wall, and she approaches and lays her hand on my waiting hand. All the emotions, feelings, and memories of 3 decades past flash between our touch, and I tell her that it's all right. Carry on with your life and don't worry about me. I can see as I look into her eyes that she hears and understands me, and a big burden has been lifted from her. I watch as they lay flowers and other memories of my past. My lucky charm that was taken from me and sent to her by my CO. A tattered and worn teddy bear that I can barely remember having as I grew up as a child. And several medals that I had earned and were presented to my wife. One of them is the Combat Infantry Badge that I am very proud of. And I noticed that my son is also wearing this medal. I had earned mine in the jungles of Vietnam, and he had probably earned his in the deserts of Iraq. I can tell that they are preparing to leave, and I try to take a mental picture of them together because I don't know when I will see them again. I wouldn't blame them if they were not to return, and can only thank them that I was not forgotten. My wife and Mama near the wall for one final touch. And so many years of indecision, fear, and sorrow are let go. As they turn to leave, I feel my tears that had not flowed for so many years form as if dewdrops on the other side of the wall. They slowly move away with only a glance over their shoulders. My son suddenly stops and slowly returns. He stands straight and proud in front of me and snaps a salute. Something draws him near the wall, and he puts his hand upon etched stone and touches my tears that had formed dewdrops on the face of the wall. And I can tell that he senses my presence there and the pride and the love that I have for him. He falls to his knees and the tears flow from his eyes and I try my best to reassure him that it's all right, and the tears do not make him any less of a man. As he moves back, wiping the tears from his eyes, he silently mouths, "God bless you, Dad. God bless you, son. We will meet someday. But in the meanwhile, go on your way. There is no hurry. There is no hurry at all." As I see them walk off in the distance, I yell out to them and everyone there today, as loud as I can, "Thanks for remembering." And as others on this side of the wall join in, I notice that the U.S. flag, Old Glory, that so proudly flies in front of us every day, is flapping and standing proudly straight out in the wind from our gathering numbers this day. And we shout again and again and again, "Thanks for remembering. Thanks for remembering. Thanks for remembering. Thanks for remembering. Thanks for remembering."